All right, here we go. Wednesday night, new night, kind of the same time, 9 o'clock, Law and Sporter, Legal Podcast. Judge Dan is with us, Justin Watkins. Adam Hill will check in, I think, at some point. He's in a fantasy draft right now, so he may be raging or he may have been arrested. He's a lunatic. I actually wanted to start out mentioning a little college football before we get to all the legal stuff. Behind me, you can see a great shot that I took at the UNLV Eastern Washington game. I mean, the pageantry of college football is just amazing, isn't it? Look at that. Look at that scene from the club. It's just beautiful, isn't it, at Allegiant?
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I were just talking. My buddies and I went to Atlanta for. Well, you're being funny, I guess, but.
Well, hold on one second, because Justin was like doing some investigatory work. What's the problem, man?
Nothing. Just seeing how many people we got there and how many red jerseys we have, and whether this is UNLV or just a photoshopped opportunity to show what is possible at Allegiant, but not actually happening.
You nailed me. 21,000 tickets were out. About 22,000 tickets were out for UNLV and Eastern Washington. I'd say about 15 or 16,000 showed up. They actually, if you look behind me, in the upper levels, they didn't even open those up, so you couldn't get the tickets. There wasn't the demand. Now, I will say for Iowa State, Iowa State's bringing a ton of fans, so they opened level 3 in addition to level 2. Only level 1 was open for UNLV, so against Eastern Washington. So there should be hopefully 30 or 35,000 people. 22,000 might be Iowa State, but they're building. And you do know this could have been the photo. It wouldn't be BYU fans behind me in the club, but the BYU Arizona game actually did in excess of 50,000. So kind of cool. Allegiant could look like this, should look like this for the Raiders game. So it'll be neat.
Have you gotten a chance in any of your reporting down there to talk to any of the fans on, first timers to the stadium and what everybody thinks, especially the out-of-towners?
No, but I'll work on that for Iowa State, because I know you want to ask about what? The size of the stadium, the amenities, the lines at the bathroom, concessions.
Well, I want to know, people are going to pick this spot out based on the reputation, new stadium, one of the most expensive stadiums ever built, and make some assumptions. And I just wonder, when people travel out to it, if it meets expectations, exceeds expectations, or falls below it, because we grew up, we watched it being built all around us. Who cares what my expectations are? It's more about the visitors that I care about.
Actually, I actually did just talk to somebody who was there and said it was kind of blah on the inside. Said looks really cool on the outside. Got inside, and he said, and I think they said they really hadn't been to a lot of football games, but they were like, I don't know. I guess I didn't know what to expect, but inside it was just kind of like, meh. So
that's my feeling too. Well, actually, I don't love the outside either, but
it looks awesome, except for the stupid sunflower. Where you took this badass Darth Vader looking thing and you put a freaking sunflower on it. Like, come on, man, what are we doing?
No, I don't mind that. I actually think, like, once you get into the stadium and you're in the seats, the sight lines and the the seats and the setup is great, I think, and the translucent roof, I think, is great. But just the concourse and everything outside of that is not all that awesome. Yeah, when I was in there, I was in the club seats too. When you get in the club area, it is nice and roomy. But it also is, my experience was difficult to get to and a little crammed in on the concourse. So, but I was there for the first event, so they maybe have streamlined that a little bit. But all was well once I got into the seats. Just the amenities out and around, I thought was kind of, I agree, kind of like blah. Like I thought it was going to be better.
Is Pizza Rock like a big competitor with Pizza Ranch? There, I see.
What an insult! Pizza Rock is actually a small chain out of San Francisco, run by a guy named Tony Gemignani, who's like a world-class pizza maker, and it's a really good pizza place. I have no idea if Pizza Ranch is good. I assume Pizza Ranch is kind
of Watkins will let you know, because he's opening up a location.
I don't think that's the place. But we have Pizza Rock in 2 locations in Vegas. So we used to do Monday Night Football at Pizza Rock. Now we're going to be at Twin Peaks. but there's a Pizza Rock in Henderson, and there's a Pizza Rock downtown. So really good pizza place, and pretty good. I have no idea what the prices were, but good choice for Allegiant. I think the food choices are interesting. I didn't look at the prices. I'm sure they're up there. I think the fact that Fuku's in there is really cool, and I saw some other good options in there.
I could just picture, Cofield navigating any event he goes to now, just based on who can he hit up, whose club box can he go to, whatever, and not pay. Like, okay, can we go hang with, this person? Do they cater their box or whatever? So he's like, I didn't look at the prices because he's mooching the entire time he goes to.
Oh, that's what I'm looking at.
Eating for free.
Oh, that's what I'm looking to do too. I'm like, hey, I see those prices coming down on Monday night's game. You can get into the stadium for under $200 now. And I'm just waiting for, one of the people that I know who bought tickets because they thought it was a great investment and not necessarily because they're a big football fan to say, hey, do you want to go? I'll say, yeah, I'll go.
Funny thing, Dan trying to bust on me, that couldn't be further from the truth, because I think of all the media people in town, I probably call in, maybe Adam Hill too, the least amount of favors. Like, I think I've asked Justin for his hockey tickets maybe 3 times, and it's generally
not even that, just once.
No. I'm not saying you call in favors.
It's not even for me. Actually, the girlfriend, the SO, would love to go to more games, but I try to be careful. Dustin DeHart actually, he's got great tickets to the football stadium for both the Raiders and UNLV, so I got to call on him for favors. But he's got Aviators tickets, so I rarely ask. I should ask more, actually, but
I'm not saying that you ask for favors. I'm just saying you probably have a way of showing up at certain places around the stadium where the food will be free. That's all I'm saying.
I can tell you this, that unless the SO is with me, I don't spend a dime when I go to games. She is the number one connoisseur I've ever met when it comes to spending money at the airport and spending money at games. If there's a $20 beer to be had, she wants it. And there's
craft. It's a craft beer.
If there's a chance to get swag that's double at the stadium, she's in. And at the airport, there is not a time that if we arrive at the airport early, we're logging up something to the tune of $75 or $100 before we get on the plane. She loves it. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love my wife, but she's the queen of the $8 bottles of water at the airport and the stadium. We need water. We need water. We buy a whole bunch of water right before we get on the airplane. And I'm like, they have water on the airplane. It's free.
Isn't this rich? Because I'm talking to 2 guys from Las Vegas where I think the last time I went to the pool at Mandalay Bay, I paid $18 for sunscreen and a bottle of water. So, come on, guys.
I don't go there either. Yeah. Thank you for contributing to our education fund.
Yes. Yeah. Matt bringing up a good point. Yeah, we're all going out or married to the same person, apparently. So again,
but guys also, the airport is the last bastion for guys that are like, I've been here for 4 days. I didn't buy anything for the wife and kids. Let's go to Brookstone or whatever. You got to buy something, or let's go to the gift shop and buy T-shirts.
So Dan decided to go on a college football trip. He went to see his Miami Hurricanes against Alabama in Georgia. Yikes! How was that?
It actually, I was pleasantly surprised. I think you're probably people did not give you a hard time about masks, things like that. The College Football Hall of Fame, for example, had a mask policy. Nobody had a problem. People were very nice. Had some fantastic ribs, maybe the best ribs I've ever had at Fat Matt's Rib Shack in Atlanta. Other than the game, which was a slaughter, that was very disappointing because it wasn't competitive for even 1 minute. So that sucked. But outside of that, we had a great experience. The funny part was, so we're at that rib joint, actually run into some Alabama fans. One of them is a talk show host. They're kind of chirping. They've been lubed up, and of course my guys are like, get a load of my guy. He's a host in Denver. I'm not really wanting to engage, but they're like, well, what are you going to say? What are you going to say about Nick Saban? He's the best of all time. And I said, well, I guess I really can't say anything. I guess he could quit crying about Drew Brees. I guess he screwed that one up. Oh man, they lost it. They're chasing me to the Uber. They won't we're trying to leave, and they're like, I'm calling your show. He had no choice on Drew Brees. Blah blah. I mean, we got their goat so good. It was, that was the highlight of the trip. But we had a nice time. Actually, I was surprised with the masks and all that. So far so good. Lucky, the stadium was actually nice. The seats were nice and spacious. It was comfortable. The section was spread out enough that we weren't all crawling on top of each other. So we had it was a nice trip, other than the complete abomination that was the effort by Manny Diaz and the Miami Hurricanes.
It's rough. It's rough. That does suck, going and watching a game where you don't feel like you're competitive from the get-go.
Yeah, not even 1 minute. Like one, and you're like, okay, well, the next series, well, at least. And it was, again, Steve and I were talking off air. I thought it was like, it was just nibbled to death, and then it just became a rout. And it was just like, it didn't feel like you were watching an all-time great Alabama team that we just shouldn't be able to compete against. It just felt like you were completely unprepared. And surprisingly, Miami, who normally doesn't travel very well, really showed out. It was, I mean, most days it was 9-1. People we saw, Miami versus Alabama fans, it wasn't necessarily like that in the stands. But Miami showed out very well, which is uncharacteristic for them. And then the team just didn't show up. So frustrating.
Adam, you're muted, but I wanted you to chime in on what Justin was saying earlier. What's with all the stories and I'm seeing the secondary ticket market maps showing a lot of Raiders tickets available for game one. What do you think's happening?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of confusion about how to prove that you can get in and how to prove you're eligible and all that stuff. I think there's a lot of process still to figure out. As far as that goes, I don't know. I'm not an expert in it. I know I was planning on talking to one of the secondary ticket people later this week for a story. So maybe I'll find out more, but I feel like that's what it is. And I'm not sure. Like, I have no idea what the process is for selling tickets. And if you're allowed to just sell them to anybody, or if you have to prove somebody's vaccinated before you sell to them, or I don't know how that goes. Hold on. Somebody says my mic's supposed to be working. Hold on.
No, you sound good.
You sound fine.
Okay.
Now we're all going to check ours. I want to make sure I sound fine. So what, Justin, are you going?
Oh no! If somebody gives me tickets, I'm not buying tickets to a Raiders game. Come on. No.
Can I just want to go back. Sorry to jump into where you guys were. Dan, are you mad at Manny Diaz? I would be.
Oh, everybody's infuriated. I mean, it was, like I said, we knew going down there. I was calling it on my show. We're going to the slaughter. I had a good attitude about. I think the line was 19, something like that. I didn't really expect it to be within 30. I didn't expect it to be. Again, there was really not 1 minute of the game that they were competitive.
Right, but I mean from the standpoint, like, clearly they should not have played Derek King. Like, why put him on the field? He wasn't 100%. Now you've gone through a game with him where, I mean, confidence-wise is probably not going to be there. You also could have absolutely used the excuse of, hey, listen, our quarterback didn't play. That's a loss. Okay, fine. And move on and have a season really start week 2. I don't know why he was on the field. It made zero sense to me.
Well, he said right from the beginning, he's not going to let us not play him, that type of thing. Like, he's demanding to play. He has to play. I think they felt bad because he announced he was coming back for a senior year and then blew out his knee the very next game in the bowl game. And he fought so hard to get back. And I think they thought maybe he was going to give them a legitimate shot to do something. But yeah, it was an abomination right from the start. And, to be having to be sitting around a bunch of Alabama fans, not fun.
For those, and it was given away before I saw it, but for those on the chat, yes, 3-1 US now. That's big. Should put a wrap on this one.
But I will tell you, that place that you put up there, Fat Matt's Rib Shack, unbelievable. They don't serve beef there, by the way. All they pretty much do is ribs, and unbelievable. The best ribs I've probably ever had. Phenomenal.
Did you ask for a tour?
Does it look like that's a giant place? It's like, it's you go in, you order the ribs at a counter, and you're lucky to find a table.
Where are they smoking all of it? On the right side of the building with those stacks?
Yeah, there's like a little kitchen there and stuff right to the right there.
Damn.
I mean, it's phenomenal.
I like the fancy sign in front. Like you got Fat Mats painted on the building, but then you got the fancy Fat Mats lighting up there.
Yeah, the neon strip lighting. That's good stuff. We got to start using that.
Dude, by the way, I could not I'm trying to think of the last time I drove around town and didn't see an advertisement. The trucks are amazing.
Oh,
for you.
Yeah.
It's
trucks
crazy.
Driving around. Yeah.
It was parked at the team facility the other day. I was going to text you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like right outside.
Oh,
yeah.
See, I have no idea where they're going. They're just local delivery trucks.
Oh, really? It's not the mobile billboard. What is it?
No. They're real delivery trucks that do. I don't even know what they deliver, but they're all over the place, and we slap up our logos on them, and there we go. Yeah,
good deal.
So you like the new boxing and the night on there?
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Are they working?
Look.
You know yet?
I mean, I think so.
I'll have to talk to you when I come out there.
Exactly. I'm not gonna say too much. I mean, there's a whole lot of people out here that want to do what I want to do. So
right, we'll talk a couple weeks.
Yeah, on the course, we get Cofield out there on the course this time.
Yeah, come on, Steve.
Possibly, just depends. Sounds like. I mean, I'll go out. I'm not going to hit that many shots, but I'll go out there and throw back some drinks. I'll go get a freaking steak. That sounded awesome.
Yeah, the steak was phenomenal too.
You two can play normal. Me and Steve will play best ball.
There you go. It'll work. Hey, just so people who are tuning in right now, so the new podcast schedule each week during football is going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9:00 each night. Tuesday is going to be Petro. Wednesday is going to be the Legal Pod. Thursday is going to be Koken and I. Koken and I both are not available every Friday, so we needed to move it back. I'm traveling a bunch. And Smarter Than You went bye-bye like 2 months ago. Adam, do you want to tell them why?
I don't know if we're legally allowed.
We can say whatever we want. JVT was essentially banned from doing stuff with Lotus Broadcasting. So he's now a little bit worried about doing the podcast. I think we'll get him back on the podcast, but I have no idea if he'll be on Lotus again. So that's the deal. Do I know how to swing clubs? I'm very athletic, my friend. Very athletic. I've gotten worse at golf over the years, but I can swing them. The ball is going to go all over the place.
Dan, when are you coming back out? I just got fitted for new clubs. They'll be here in 6 weeks.
Bitch.
Give me
the old ones. Give it to well, don't give them to me. I'll buy them. I'm not going to buy them. I don't play enough.
I'm already giving them to my brother. They're already being handed down. Yeah,
Dolphins game.
Okay.
Dolphins game. So, I don't know, 2-3 weeks.
Oh, all right. I'll be playing the old ones, but we'll get by.
That's right.
Get by. That's great. By the way, I don't even know exactly what the question would be on this. Like something literally just came up 10 minutes ago that I was thinking about from a legal perspective. So I'll just throw this out there. God, it sucks to tell a story like this because obviously people know where I'm talking about. But there was, let's say, a work fantasy draft that just happened, and somebody was using some very aggressive language. And there was other people like, whoa, like we're all coworkers. Like, if HR knows about this, what's going to go on? And the guy was like, I thought we were hanging out outside of work. Like, I didn't know what governs that. So I think in Nevada, right, you could fire people for anybody. So I don't think it would matter. But if there is like rules about workplace, how could that be applied in terms of like somebody's like, workplace, we're doing a fantasy draft. What are you talking about? Yeah.
So it's actually a good question, and it's a gray area depending on the circumstances. Mr. G, my handicap's a 15. I'm trying to get down to single digits, but I'm having a hard time. That's what the new clubs are for. So, I mean, the way it's going to work is basically whether or not the event is a sanctioned work event, because you're going to deal with circumstances. The courts have had to deal with circumstances when there is a company dinner versus a company happy hour where people get, drunk and they do things, and whether or not that is we're on the company time or not. So I would say that, generally speaking, is if it's a required attendance event, like a work event, if it requires attendance, no doubt about it, then you're on the work definition. You're on the work clock. If it is not required and it's voluntary, let's put this in the work happy hour, sort of loosely gathered, hey, everybody's going to meet over here, then I do not think you're on the work time, and the rules governing the workplace are not going to apply. And there's a whole bunch of situations in between those two landmarks, but I can't give you every example because the court has to analyze it on a case-by-case basis, but that's generally going to be how it is.
Dan, agree?
Well, I would agree in general, and Justin knows way more about this stuff than me, but I think what you were getting at, Adam, is it a right to work state versus at will, all that stuff. If it's at will, in general, they can fire you at any reason, at any time, so long as, it's not for a prohibited reason, protected class, things like that, except for if they have a handbook or policies in place that they've gone by, then that's going to be some protection for you, right? So if they don't have a policy or something like that, okay, then you might be okay, except for what was the conduct, right? Was he threatening, harassing? How inappropriate was Mr. Hill tonight, right? How out of hand did Mr. Hill get, right? That type thing. So in general, you probably would be okay, again, depending on the circumstances, but you never know. You just never know.
If people are interested in like the background of it, somebody called another coworker a C-bomb for taking the guy that they wanted to take, and everybody's like, "Whoa, dude!"
No. Supreme Court precedent has already established that is completely allowed. That's the appropriate response in every fantasy draft. I believe that was Scalia and Ginsburg that agreed on that.
Who wrote the dissenting?
It was a 9-0 opinion.
Okay.
That is the appropriate response when somebody does that.
Good.
But was there more people was it just the people in the draft from the office? It was not like a big event or anything?
Well, it was supposed to be 12 people from the office. 2 people backed out at the last minute, so we got 2 outsiders in.
Oh, wow.
I think you're fine. I think the person's fine. I mean, if they don't like, again, if they want to fire him, they can do it for any reason outside of exactly what Dan said, protected classes. But I certainly don't see that as a basis to say, oh, you said something offensive towards somebody in the office. I mean, you guys voluntarily met after hours to do something that had nothing to do with work.
So this could be both an RJ HR issue and Lotus. Heidi Fang really called someone a cunt?
Heidi was in the draft.
Yeah, rushing, and they're dropping C-bombs.
Yes.
Woo! That's a draft.
Yes.
Now that's a draft.
Do
it.
Yeah.
Equal rights.
She was the most impressed by it. She loved it.
Well, and then you had Adam, making a motion to fine the person for talking during a draft, and the motion was, summarily denied by everybody.
They didn't mention any names of players. I was fine. Say whatever you want. In fact, I quickly changed my name to that in reference to somebody calling somebody that in the draft, and then it became total chaos.
Well, so if the original dude was in trouble, so are you by changing your team name.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, Adam went on a whole rant today, Dan, about how no one should be able to talk during the draft and bring up players that haven't been drafted, that should be a fine. Because we often, in the league that we do, I mean, we have a lot of mouthy people, myself and Petro leading the way. And when players are starting to slip in the draft, Yeah, we'll talk trash and say, or especially in an auction, like, hey, this person's really good, and Adam just goes over the edge. And we spent like 8 minutes today, by the way, during Justin's time, with me screaming at Adam and Adam screaming back about that's a violation. You shouldn't be able to talk about guys who are still available because it should only be guys who are drafted.
It's like poker, right? You can't talk about what what you folded if you're not in the hand,
Dan.
things like that. I don't know.
Exactly.
It's mostly poker. That's the point.
By the way, somebody asked who's the player at the root of the issue. I actually do know this. It's Jameis Winston.
Well, then it was you who dropped the seat.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Really?
It wasn't.
You get very emotional over Jameis.
I do. I love Jameis. Oh, dude, I'm so happy. Oh, I cannot wait for Sunday. Oh, Jameis and Ty God are both playing. Oh, my God. Can't wait. It's going to be awesome. I'm so happy the Raiders play Monday. This is going to be great.
So, Dan, give us some Denver stories here. What's going on with Bradley Chubb?
Well, actually, the first thing that came down, because I think both of these kind of go at this culture issue that's they've had on an organizational level. We find out earlier in the day, I don't know if you guys remember, the game where they had to go without a quarterback. Like the league was just like, no quarterbacks, period. You guys play without quarterbacks for an entire game. And they're like, well, can't we move a game, this or that, because of the COVID? They violated COVID protocol. What they actually did was they have, what did they have, wristbands or whatever that were supposed to be contract tracing, right?
It's trackers. I have to wear one every day, just So yeah, it's a little white tracker. You have to put it inside a wrist watch type thing, and wear it no matter where you go in the building. So I do have to wear one every day, so I have a little bit of experience with it. So I just wanted to do that. Yeah.
So they go in on their day off. They're being good students of the game. They go in the meeting room. Instead of just sitting apart, they take their wristbands and each of them goes into the four corners of the room and they try and, hide their wristbands so they can all go sit together and have a, tickle fight or whatever. So they can watch tape sitting right on top of each other and just get around the policy. Well, the NFL finds out and blows the stack and just says, we are going to make an example out of you, embarrass you, essentially make you throw a game out the window. And word came out, because I've criticized Elway, that you're John stinking Elway. You're one of the top 10, at least, maybe top 5 most recognizable players in the history of the game. If I'm running the organization like he is, or at least half of it, I'm going out and have a press conference saying, either you give us some relief or we're not playing. Like, I would be pitching a fit. And he just sat there, basically got castrated by the league, and they had to go out there, and it was embarrassing. I mean, it was a complete embarrassment.
I agree. I totally agree with Dan. This arbitrary, to not come out publicly with it, to find out now is outrageous. And frankly, it would have served more of a purpose if they'd freaking come out publicly. Now I have no idea if it's a violation of rules. What do you think, Adam?
No, so because this matters, Brady's question, I'll answer it. This is why it was so stupid what they did. It's not like they're just relying on the trackers. And again, I have experience with this. Last year, I've talked about this before. When I tested positive for COVID, it was through the team. And so we had to go back over the last 3 days, and everyone that was near me was informed that they were near me, and I had tested positive. And they know. But they don't just rely on the trackers. The reason that they were caught isn't because they did that with the trackers. It was because the league they checked the trackers, and then they went and looked because they have the surveillance footage. And they're like, we saw what you did. We know what you did. And so what happened is they went to the Broncos like, hey, your quarterbacks are all out this week. You not only are they in protocol, like other teams have been pushed back, sure, but this was such an egregious violation that you have to deal with this. This is how it's going to be. You guys tried to cheat the system. And I think that's why the Broncos didn't try to fight it publicly, because they didn't want it to come out. They didn't want to throw their quarterbacks under the bus and be like, yeah, these guys cheated, and we allowed it to happen.
Right. And it was also, I think, a lot of it had to do, some of it had to do behind the scenes, messy ownership situation. Roger Goodell had to go in and give a deposition. He was really upset with one having to give testimony. He was not happy after his deposition. He also learned some things in his deposition that kind of, just how bad it is in Denver right now with that trust and the bickering between the siblings and all that. By the way, did you guys see the latest Johnny Bolin video? Unbelievable. I don't know if you guys have seen that. The guy's just completely off his rocker, just completely cursing obscenities at George Payton, calling himself the owner of the Broncos. He's like, I'm going to play golf, K. I got my Raiders golf clubs, and I'm the owner of the Broncos, K. Apparently, he's saying he's a Raiders fan now, completely cursing out the new GM of the Broncos. I mean, the guy's just completely lost his lid, and he's about to get $400 million. It's insane. But that happened yesterday morning. That news leaks out. And then Bradley Chubb doesn't have a license, speeding in one county, has a warrant. About a month ago, he had court. No thanks. Just not going to bother. So has a warrant, gets arrested yesterday, the week of the first game. Like, people are trying to say, oh, it's different this year, that, they're magically going to double their win total and make the playoffs. The culture has not changed. It's the same. Well, George Payton came in and changed everything. It's the same. The same coaching staff that was, Raiders fans were, or Raiders players and coaches were laughing at because he's calling timeouts to bail them out at the end of last year. It's the same story all over again here in Denver. It's crazy. By the way, Bradley Chubb has the best lawyer in the state on retainer or on speed dial, who's gotten him out of traffic tickets before. Apparently, according to, I went and kind of looked at the record. He hadn't entered an appearance on this case. Apparently, didn't bother calling him. Just said, I'm just going to completely ignore having my license suspended and then not show up to court.
Yeah. By the way, it definitely made me realize that I have definitely outstanding stuff that I need to take care of.
You should have called the anti-lawyer.
You should have. Anti-TV lawyer. That would have been great. No, I'm not. It's not making excuses. Whatever. I'm with them, but I have literally spent hours and hours and hours on the phone, on hold. I'm like, how do I take care of this? Can anybody answer a question ever?
Oh, you do it online.
I'm not saying that's
wait.
Sure.
Adam, don't you just give your tickets to me?
I haven't yet. You told me to. I haven't done it. And
you have tickets and you haven't given them to me?
Yes, I don't want to bother you and burden you with that stuff. But at the same time,
hey, dumbass, give me the ticket.
I don't know what's outstanding and what's not at this point. I'm like, I've tried to take care of some stuff.
You need to get that taken care of. I was shocked because people were coming to his aid like, oh, it was an alarm issue or a calendar issue. When you don't show up to court, they issue warrants, dude. That's what happens. It's court. Okay?
It's ridiculous.
It's a problem.
You should be able, once you're on hold for 3 hours, you should be like, all right, listen, that counts.
Hey,
so you should just go to court.
No warrants.
You're on hold for 3 hours because you didn't go to court.
No warrants in the state of Nevada anymore. Traffic violations are not a criminal action.
Well, yeah, we have. Well, for us, it depends. Is it a minor traffic infraction?
Right.
We did the same thing. We got rid of that, and we actually got rid of the OJW warrants too. But this is he's got a suspended license. It's a misdemeanor, man. He's just no big deal. Screw it.
Yeah. So Adam, give me your tickets, Domi.
I don't even know where to find them at this point.
I'll find them. I'll find them right now, actually. While we're out there, I'll find out how. I'll see how many we have.
There's probably it's ridiculous. I don't know how to take care of that stuff. I'm a child in that way, so I'm not I'm not making excuses for him. It's bad, just like it's bad that I do it. But I'm just saying I also understand the situation of sometimes you just don't know how to do that. I don't know.
You're a grown man. He's a grown man. By the way, Bradley Chubb, this is his 4th year in the league. He's articulate, well-spoken. I mean, he doesn't. It's amazing. This is a thing. Although he's had issues lately, like fighting teammates a lot and getting penalties last year, 15-yarders. Something seems not right with this guy. I don't know if he's frustrated because of the injuries or what. A lot of, obviously they passed on Josh Allen, even though they needed a quarterback to draft him. He hasn't panned out yet. So I don't know if he's got pressure from that. I don't know. But yeah, Adam, you got to take care of things in life sometimes. That's one of the problems with our society. People are just like, there's no accountability for anything ever. I had a buddy who didn't have tickets. I mean, he had paid thousands of dollars to take care of some tickets. got into this tight end again, and they in Denver, he sat in jail for like 3 days. He had a mental breakdown. He's weeping and he's crying, and like this dude's like this big Mexican guy put his arm around him and goes, "Buddy, I just got 5 years, dog. Chill. You'll get out of here like tomorrow."
That's awesome.
Hey, Adam, real quick, is your middle initial S or G?
Yeah, it's
S.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you've only got one. You've only got one open ticket.
Oh, okay. That's not bad.
Oh, texting. Oh, texting.
It was
Adam.
By the way, no, I shouldn't implicate myself. I actually was not texting, and that's a fact.
Oh, we gotta. Oh shit, Adam.
Oh, no.
We gotta take care of this.
Uh-oh.
You got a warrant.
You got a warrant. The good thing.
Nice.
The good thing is all warrants are suspended currently in the state of Nevada or in Clark County.
That's good. Good news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's safe?
Right.
Who's safer right now? Adam driving around with a warrant, or me using that Hov lane all the time?
It's suspended.
Adam.
It's suspended.
Dude,
So
for
good.
2016, you haven't taken care of this thing?
What of a fun.
Yeah. I also
It's like half a decade, dude.
I just got one. I just got one a couple weeks ago, which I told you I was so angry about it. That's when I've been on hold the most about, because I parked downtown. I paid to park, and the parking attendant gave me a ticket for no registration, and I'm like, my car's registered. What are you talking about? Like, how is
You didn't put the sticker on?
Yeah, it's on there. I'm like, where does this even come from? How do you get, like, it's just a mistake. But I'm going to sit on hold for hours and hours as I did because you fucked up? That's
Why are you
bullshit.
sitting on hold at all? You don't need to sit on hold.
Because I tried to call in.
Just give me the ticket, dude.
All right.
We'll take care of it. I'm sending you the link right now of how to pay for your warranted one.
Okay. When I pay for it, will it go away, or do I have to go through something else?
No, that's it. Calm down.
Okay. All right.
Well, I only looked up Las Vegas Justice Court. So, by the way, if you have any tickets in Henderson, Clark County, or North Las Vegas, I'll have to do a separate search for that.
I think I do have one in Clark County.
Well, let's get the warrant taken care of first, buddy.
All right. Yeah.
Then we'll deal with the others.
All right. Good enough. I'll pay it while we're on the air. That'll be the everybody will see the payoff.
Oh, it's pricey, buddy.
Oh boy.
Make sure it's you, though. Make sure it's you.
Yeah, it should be. It was a 2016 for texting. Sure.
Yeah.
Just changing the channel on the TV on my phone.
Yeah.
What's pricey? We talking $100, $500?
Oh, dude, we're in warrant territory. Come on now.
Oh,
Not 500. Not 500. Less than 500.
I thought it was $250 when they gave it to me, but I'm sure there's like fees and taxes and stuff.
Yeah, from 2016, dumbass. Yeah.
But I noticed Dan went like full judge there with his lecturing. That was great.
Yeah.
You got to go to court, man. That's just the way it's to it.
You gotta go to court. I got a job, man. I got to keep my job. We need people in court, so you got to show up. What's the deal with Clinton Portis? This one goes ways back, man. How serious was this fraud?
Well, it's very serious. I mean, there was stealing. I think he stole about $100,000. He was just straight up committing, basically insurance fraud. Which he was one of my favorite players at Miami. He got drafted by the Broncos, so I covered him immediately. He was not the brightest bulb on the bush, and he was just not bright, and he was broke immediately. He defrauded, wasn't it like a Entertainment Tonight reporter too? Like, because he was broke like almost immediately after playing, and he's just not a great guy, and they all thought they could just turn in these fake insurance claims and pocket the money, and they thought they'd never get busted. And I haven't seen it didn't look like the prosecutors put in what they were recommending yet. I know they said there was an agreement for full restitution, but I think he's going to jail. I think he's going to do some jail time on this. I think all three of those guys will. I don't know how significant it'll be, but I think he's looking at some jail time.
Is that right? Brad Carpenter said he ripped off his mom. Is that right?
His mom? Oh,
Maybe that's a joke.
that's old. I don't think that's a part of this. I vaguely remember that. What I remember was you used to call him. We gave him like a 12-person hot tub with fold-out TVs and everything to come on the show once a week, and I would always give him these jokes, right? These jokes to pimp our host with, because the hosts were these two really old dudes, and my producer was like, "You might as well be speaking Chinese, man. He doesn't understand a word you're saying when you give him these jokes." And I'd always call and be like, "All right, hey," I was like always in a good mood, like, "Hey, ready to come on?" And he'd always be like, "Nah, I guess whatever." And I was kind of in a bad mood one day. I was like, he's like, "Well, I don't really have a choice." And I go, "You know what, Clinton, you do have a choice. We'll come over right now and we'll just pick up the hot tub and you don't have to do it. How about that?" And he was like, "No, it's all right. I'll do it." And he was fine after that. But it was like, he was just, he's a weird cat, man. He would show up like in costumes. And I always maintain that he was the reason Mike Shanahan got fired. Everybody thinks that, that Champ Bailey trade was great for the Broncos. It actually wasn't. Their defenses outside of 1 year got progressively worse. Clinton Portis was a phenomenal MVP type player at Denver, and they got worse. The rushing game got worse every year that he left until Mike Shanahan got fired. But Mike Shanahan just didn't like Clinton Portis's personality, and so they had a personality clash, and so he traded him.
Yeah, Portis, he owed his mom at one point $500,000 as part of his $5 million in total debt. So
he was broke as broke. He was doing games for like $300, like he has no, like, I don't know how he's going to pay this restitution back. Like, he has no money.
That's crazy. Justin, I wanted your take on this one. We've been covering the Rams and this whole battle over St. Louis with Stan Kroenke, and now the latest is Stan Kroenke takes fight over release of financial information to Missouri Supreme Court. This is always fascinating when billionaires, there's a chance that we get a chance to find out about their financials, and they fight like hell to hide things. What do you think happens here?
Yeah, I understand it certainly.
Justin understands. He's hiding. He understands these rich guys hiding their assets.
No, that's not what I mean.
A lot of them do it with restaurants.
Pizza Ranch coming to Las Vegas.
It'll be the last steak dinner in golf. Good job, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I don't know that his personal finances are at issue. I tend to agree with his objection there. It's about the team's finances. And arguably, it doesn't even have to be about that. About whether or not, unless he made a representation that somehow could be construed as fraud, if it wasn't true, to get something done. But if the team's finances are bad and his individual finances are good, from my perspective, it doesn't matter, right? He's not obligated to take a personal loss just because there's a business loss. Those are two very different things. If all the rest of his businesses are doing good, he shouldn't have to supplement this. Was that you, Dan? You got somebody at the door?
My daughter is going out the front door to avoid appearing on the podcast.
Yeah. That's good. My kids like to come right into it and then kind of stare at it. So I understand why he's fighting it. I think he's got a real good chance on all the personal finance stuff. I think the team finance issue is going to be real.
Is that dog out of the house? Brady wants to know.
That dog destroys everything. He ate my AirPods. He eats shoes. He destroyed the floors. I mean, he destroyed charcoal. My charcoal for my smoker. I don't know, man.
That's why Cofield's a cat guy.
Yep.
And now the cats are peeing on everything because they don't like the dog. Like, it's whatever, man.
Yeah, they get temperamental. Ari sent over a story today. We never got to it. So Ari said he's having issues with debt collectors. Ari's our producer. He said debt was already paid by the company in the first place, but as a result of some oversight, it somehow got sent to collections. Now both the vendor and its loan department have explained that it's resolved and provided proof in the form of a copy of the check for the exact amount. Meanwhile, I'm getting multiple calls almost daily, and multiple credit inquiries continue to decrease my credit score. Sent a scathing email. Scathing is Ari's going to get. I assume they have no basis for threatening any legal action. Dan, you got anything on this?
Well, yeah, because I was thinking about why did he call Justin? There's actually 2 federal statutes, and the fact that he said that they did ding his credit, that's a big one. That's triple damages under the fair. There's 2. There's the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. There's also the Credit Reporting Act, Fair Credit Reporting Practices Act. So there's 2 federal statutes that if you're found guilty, if it goes all the way through and you're found in violation, if you're a debt collector, it's triple damages and all sorts of stuff. So I'm surprised that if they've been provided proof that this debt has been satisfied, that's usually a non-starter for them. I mean, they know, okay, hands off, because if we get, caught with our hand in the cookie jar, we're in trouble. So yes, a strongly worded letter, usually mentioning those statutes, will get those people to go away generally.
Yeah. So, I mean, as usual, Ari is wrong, and he does have a viable legal action. Actually, a great one. To really seal the deal, if I were him, I would record the next conversation that happens from a debt collector, so that you have verified proof of it, and then you can tie that number. Usually they're not going to have the same number over and over again, but to the extent that they've called from a similar number, you could show every instance, because under those federal statutes, there is penalties up to $1,000 for each infraction. So that would be each and every phone call, plus attorney's fees and costs get covered under the statute as well, if you're proven to be correct. I don't do this, but there are plenty of people in town that do, and so he should absolutely get somebody, and I can refer him a couple people.
Ari, I'm calling BS, dude. You got, Adam mentions he's got traffic tickets, he's got warrants out, and Justin's like, I'll take care of it for you. And Ari's got a legitimate claim here, and this and that. He's like, I don't touch that stuff. I'll pass you along.
Justin has a job, so I feel like yeah, sure, we have him at our disposal, and he's very, very cool about helping with anything. But you can't just,
I'm just saying he's taking care of you like that, and then poor Ari.
Well, Dan, there's a big difference between going to traffic court and going to federal court. And I don't feel like hanging out in federal court on an area law, which I don't practice, because the judges there generally don't like when you don't know what the hell you're talking about when you appear in front of them. So, I mean, I know just enough. I did handle a case like that early on in my career on the defense side of things. So I do know that the judges are generally going to be on the side of the plaintiff, the person who's been wrongly accused of not paying their bills. And once you've told them to remove you from the call list and to stop calling, and they confirm that the debt has been paid, every time they call after that is a big no-no.
What about Raphael's question? Speaking of phone calls, is there a no-call list that state or government have that we can stop these fraud calls or telemarketers?
So, well, fraud calls, no, because they're already committing a crime, right? They don't give a shit about the don't call register. The telemarketers, yes. The do not call, what is it called? Do not call.gov is, and you have to renew that after time, but a legitimate debt collector is allowed to continue to call you. And at appropriate times under the Fair Debt Collection Act, it's like, I think it's like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. They have to call within those hours. They can't call more than once a day, but they can continue. You cannot make them stop trying to collect their debt. The only means by doing so would be retaining an attorney and the attorney instructing them to contact his office rather than you or her office. Sorry. And, so that's the only viable, that's the only viable way to stop a legitimate debt collector. But you're never going to stop the fraud calls. They're already staring prison down the barrel.
I got scammed on the tickets for the game, by the way.
Oh boy,
$450.
Oh boy.
Hey, what happened?
Well, so my buddy who was getting the tickets said, "Oh yeah, I've got this confirmed." I said, "Now I'd always been told use PayPal, which advertises itself as the safest way to pay." Right? He says, "You know, I don't know how to do this stuff. Would you mind? You have PayPal?" We transfer the $450. And they know so PayPal has two ways you can send money. You can send it to friends and family, but I put in there this is for Alabama Miami tickets because they tell you send it through the scammers tell you which way to do it so you can get around the policy. And then or you can send it to a vendor. Well, they're like, well, I'm not a vendor. You know, this way we avoid the fees. Send it this way. Well, if you send it one way, they say there is absolutely nothing we can do. You have to dispute this through your bank and we'll cooperate with your bank. But I said, you need to claw back this now. You are engaging, you are allowing your platform to be involved in a ongoing fraud. You need to claw, and you know, they know the way around the policy. You know, this was for a good or service. It's in the notes. Yes, sir. We know that, but our computer system will not allow us to open a claim, yada, yada. So I had several well-worded, sharply worded phone calls with them, and then I had to go to my bank, and now it's being disputed with the bank, and so my bank refunded it, but you know, lesson learned. And then I had to go through a former player to get seats to the game, which you know was fine, but it was like never go that way out again. Either just go through, you know. The
So
problem is, you know, like with StubHub and everything.
In the end, you got free tickets to the game.
No. I paid like $1,000, but they were really good seats.
Okay.
They're from a former Miami player, so they were right there. They were awesome seats, but my buddy was kind of cheap, so he was always wanting to, you want to pay $450 for 4 seats instead of 1,000. And I was, by that time I was so pissed. I'm like, no, we're going with his seats. They're great seats. They're right there, and yada yada yada. I'm not flying to Atlanta to sit in the nosebleeds, So he finally agreed that we'd stay in the decent seats.
Did you sample the concession stands there? They're legendarily good.
I didn't. My buddy brought down the popcorn was really good. It was warm. Good popcorn. We had good tailgating and stuff like that. So, and then to be honest with you guys, I left third quarter, like 2 series into the third quarter. I'm like, I'm out. I'm not doing this anymore.
It's actually a good lesson, your ticket issue though, because it is coming up to scam season, and I refer to there's one festival here every year, and it's just a mess of scams. And I've bought tickets every year, and I've been pretty lucky. I only got scammed once, so I'm getting ready to buy tickets again, and hopefully
Which one is
Life is Beautiful?
Yeah, I didn't realize there was that many.
Oh yeah, it's coming.
All right. Let's go around the room before we get out of here. We're all fans. Well, we're all observers of AFC West football. Maybe one of us is a fan. I assume we're all picking the Chiefs to finish in first. Anyone want to make an argument for someone else? All right, very quiet. Adam, I assume you have the Raiders winning less than 7 games and finishing last. What's your order for 2, 3, and 4 in the AFC West?
I've adjusted. I think it goes Chargers, Raiders, Broncos.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why Broncos?
I believe, by the way, that's like 15 or 16 to 1 that you can get that order of finish.
Oh, wow. What about that?
Yeah,
what about you, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, I have the Raiders. I mean, I have the Chargers second also, but I'm hoping that's not just my fandom coming through. I have the Raiders at 8-9. I got the Broncos coming in last.
I think they're all right around the same record, though. By the way,
yeah,
I think two game separate, like between 8 and 10 wins. I think all 3 of them are.
Yeah, Chargers like 9-8 or 10. Yeah, maybe 10-7, maybe 10. I don't know about 10-7, but 9-8 seems very possible.
Dan?
Yeah, I can concur. I mean, everybody is thinking that Justin Herbert will blow up this year. I mean, he looked very good last year. Talking to you guys, every time I talked about the Raiders is depressing. So I don't see them making some huge leap. But I think they're better than the Broncos marginally. And the Broncos, like I've talked about, they're spending a ton of money on defense. I don't believe in the culture they have going on over there. They had a terrible training camp. They don't have a quarterback. I think the offensive line will struggle once fans are back in the stands. They just have a whole host of issues. And I think once, they have a nice little easy schedule to start the season. Although that first game against the Giants is not going to be necessarily easy. But then after that, they get the Jets and the Cofield and the Jaguars. I think they go Jaguars and Jets. But, they should be able to beat those teams. And after that, man, they got a pretty tough schedule. So, they'll be unless they get, really unlucky with injuries. But there'll be a few games better. But I mean, they only won. I have a hard time explaining this to people, that listen to the show. They won 5 games last year. 5. Do you think they're going to win 10 or 11 games? They have pretty much the same roster. A couple different pieces have been moved around. It's essentially the same roster. They brought back the entire coaching staff en masse. The Broncos are not going to magically double their win total. But after the Chiefs, I concur with everybody else. It's the Chiefs and then kind of some also-rans. But I think the Chargers have the most upside for sure.
I don't know where all this you're branding us all negative on the Raiders. I don't know what you're talking about.
I asked you point blank on this podcast, and you're like,
That's not me.
It is you. I'm like,
I'm like the one guy in the market picking them to have a good season.
You weren't. Well, then you've changed and you flip-flopped. You're the John Kerry on the Raiders.
No, I didn't.
You were against them before you were before them.
The freaking schedule came out, and I was probably the only person in the market, aside from people who get paid by the Raiders or the shills who are, the bloggers. I said they're going to go 10-7. I think the Raiders are going to finish in second place, maybe tied with the Chargers. I think the Chargers are going to go 9-8 or 10-7, and I think the Broncos suck. I think the Broncos are a 6-win team.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually.
He's probably looking up freaking Adam's record.
No, I was actually. I had like 4 trade offers come in right away. I was like, oh my god, really? We're doing this already? My thoughts on the Raiders. I've definitely progressed on where I think they are. The biggest thing being, listen, things change. The Raiders got KJ Wright, and for 3 weeks, I was sitting here saying they are going to get blown out in week 1 because they don't have a linebacker. And if you don't have a linebacker against Lamar Jackson, you can say you figured him out all you want. You're going to get fucking destroyed if you don't have linebackers against that guy. Well, guess what? Now they have one of the best linebackers in the league. So that does change things a little bit. The problem is that I think that they're going to be significantly better on defense based on the scheme fitting the players a little bit better, based on the acquisitions they made. They're going to be better on defense. I do think the offense takes a step back, which is a problem. And the schedule is brutal. And so, you go through it. I like to base strength of schedule based on win totals, the total win totals of the teams that you're playing. And based on that, it's the second hardest schedule in the league. And so I think that they are going to be a better team that doesn't necessarily have that much better of a record. It's going to be tough. Listen, there's a lot of divisions have one really good team, 2 okay teams, and a terrible team. That's not this division. This division has 1 elite team and 3 pretty good teams, I think. And they're all going to kind of be battling each other. It's a tough spot to be in, but I think the Raiders are going to show significant improvement on the field, but not in the standings.
There you go. How about that? And we're all in agreement. We're not high on the Broncos, so that means they win 11 games. So
hold on. I love the Broncos roster. Like, I was here. I heard the, I listened to the Pro Football Focus podcast. 3 now. There's like 12 a week, which is annoying. But I know yesterday in their prediction podcast, they said, and I think it's true, and I think anybody basically agree with this. If the Rodgers deal was done, they'd be the favorite, and I think that's true.
No, I would disagree with that. You're telling me Aaron Rodgers walking off the street to take over a 5-win team, still coached by Vic Fangio and Pat Shurmur, is a favorite over Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid? No.
They're okay. If Mahomes, you take Mahomes and, well, first of all, switch Mahomes and Bridgewater. Clearly, I think the Broncos are the favorite. But I think if you look at the roster top to bottom, the Broncos have a better roster than the Chiefs do.
I don't know if I'd agree with that. The proof is in the pudding. They had the same roster essentially last year. Okay, they added Kyle Fuller. You take away Jarrell Casey. They added some depth at cornerback, and they had their draft class. That's about it. Okay,
Well,
everybody's like, well, they got hurt last year.
Yeah.
Bradley Chubb's already hurt. You're talking about you had your fantasy football draft. What is it like playing fantasy football? Every week it sucks because you got 5 or 6 guys out, or at least 3 or 4 guys out. And every week you're like, oh, as soon as my team gets healthy, then my team's going to be really good. I'm going to win the championship. The NFL players get injured all the time now. Cortland Sutton is still not healthy right now. Bradley Chubb's still not healthy right now, and they haven't even started getting injured yet. This is essentially the same roster they had last year, but they're going to double their win total. It makes no sense to me. Vic Fangio, probably the most incompetent head coach in the league right now. You witnessed it. He called 2 back-to-back timeouts to hand the Raiders a victory. He's literally, after 40 years in the league and 32 games as an NFL head coach, can't figure out that you don't call timeouts when the team is on it's fourth and goal and they don't have a play called, and then you don't call a timeout to bail them out again for a 2-point conversion to beat you.
Well, we haven't seen Dan Campbell manage the clock yet.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, we've seen Vic Fangio do it, and he's terrible. Like, he's literally terrible at it. Like, he blew the first game of the season. The announcers are like, against the Titans, why isn't he not calling timeouts? He knows he'll need some time on the clock, right? Oh, he blows that. Well, 16 weeks later, he still can't figure out the fact, like, how to use timeouts. And he's been in football for 40 years. You think you might just learn some of that by, I don't know, doing it every day for a living? He's completely clueless. It's just who he is.
To be fair, most coaches are clueless. And I love when people talk about analysts and they're like, oh, this guy, he's sitting on his couch, and he knows better than coaches do. Yeah, a lot of them do, and it's inexplicable that so many coaches have absolutely no idea how to handle clock situations, how to handle 4th down situations, all of that. Like, it's unbelievable that so many coaches are that bad at it. I'm dumbfounded every year.
Yeah, but it's so this idea that Aaron Rodgers, who was the league MVP and had a home game against Tom Brady and the Bucs and couldn't get to the Super Bowl, is going to come to this mess in this organization that is in such disarray, that doesn't have an owner, and somehow they're magically going to be better than the Chiefs? No way. Not buying it.
There you go. Adam, put in his place. Shut the hell up.
Quarterbacks do make a difference. That is very true.
Of course they do.
The Broncos roster top to bottom is absolutely really
Hey, man, I was there with you last year. I thought, Fangio won 7 games his first year. I'm like, oh, they'll definitely be a little better. Look at this roster. It's so good. They were worse. And I'm telling you, they did not look good in camp. They're just not good.
No, I don't think they're good now. The argument is if they had Aaron Rodgers.
But the roster was good last year. The roster is the same this year. And as soon as those injuries start rolling in, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to deja vu all over again.
All right, good deal. We're back tomorrow. Koken is with us, so we'll do all the college football and the NFL. Last look before the weekend begins. Tomorrow we're at Silver Sevens. So stop by if you can. I have a bunch of free entries, the $25 entries. I got a bunch of free entries into the William Hill Pro Pick'em contest, which is a straight-up picks contest, but I got a bunch of $25 free entries, so come by if you can. We'll have some T-shirts. I'll have at least a couple pair of tickets for UNLV and Iowa State football on the 18th. So Silver Sevens, We're there tomorrow. Actually, 2 to 5. We start earlier. Man, I'm glad I just reminded myself of that. I would have showed up at 3 o'clock.
Oh, shit, so would I.
Yeah. It's Thursday Night Football, so we cut out for the beginning of the broadcast because we run it on ESPN Las Vegas. So good job. Good job. And you know what? Can I mention one more thing? Only our show, I sit and vouch for Justin Watkins and Matt and Battleborn Injury Lawyers, and I'm like, they're our guys. And then our guys on the show are like, I don't want to bother them.
Yeah,
Like,
because they have real clients they help every day. Obviously, if I ever had legal needs, I'd be calling Justin immediately.
Not a big firm. He's like,
Just so you know,
He doesn't really do anything. He's fine.
fucking help all the time. Get him like, my new, he's getting fitted for clubs. He can make a call or two for you on your tickets. He knows that. But seriously, only our show. Ari's like, I don't want to bother him. Like, dude.
I was gonna say you do. By the way, look at the Clement. You do have a legal need. You have a warrant. You've had a warrant for half a decade.
They're suspended. The warrants are suspended right now. I'm good. My
You're
lawyer
good
said,
now.
if I get pulled over and be like, hey, listen, my lawyer told me this is suspended. I'm good.
Dude, clearly they've lost the paperwork on that warrant. You've been pulled over a dozen times since, and nobody's taken you in. So
It wasn't. No, I got pulled over one time. It was like at the beginning of the pandemic, which I will. Goddamn, we talked about this ticket on the air. I want to fight that ticket too. I got that ticket, and I got pulled. And the other ticket was bullshit. They said I didn't have registration, and I do. I don't even know how you're supposed to. Like, how do you explain that one? I don't even get it.
I know.
It's
how you
easy.
do
We
it.
just provide the proof of registration and it gets dismissed.
No, but I mean, how do you get the ticket in the first place? Is what I'm saying. I don't even understand what that is.
It's gonna be.
I know how you fight it. You go to court with your
It's a
registration.
pandemic. It's the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah, it's never been easier. I have 3 cases in 12 hours. You know what I do? Exactly how we do this podcast. Doot. Court. I can wear this shirt. I don't have to put on a suit.
If they would have sent me a Zoom link and said, "Jump in here, this is your court," no problem.
That is what they do. Is that not what you guys are doing?
It's blue jeans, but yeah. Well, actually, right now they are not running traffic court. They suspended all warrants. They're not running traffic court. So there's nothing you can do. Like people, this just, hey, I'll take care of your ticket, but just don't be this person. Which is, hey, Justin, can you take care of my ticket? Yeah, no problem. Give me the ticket. I'll let you know when you need to pay something. And then every 2 weeks ago, anything on that ticket? No, there's nothing on that ticket. Anything on that ticket? No, the courts are closed. There's not going to do anything on traffic. They're not issuing warrants. It's going to be a couple months, 2 weeks. Anything on that ticket? Like, I don't want to fucking help you anymore. Here, to get back.
To answer that question, it's a Camry. That's what I got. Yeah, it's the ticket. We talked about this before. Listen, and I probably, as a lawyer, you probably said not to say this. Okay, technically, yeah, I get.
I muted you. I'm protecting yourself.
Okay.
I'm protecting you from yourself.
I think we talked about this on the air, though.
Yes.
So, again, what I would say is, why are you wasting your time giving me this ticket? It's so stupid. It's 4 lanes on each side. 2-way street at a stoplight intersection. Somebody goes to cross the street in front of me, right? What? Don't say it?
Just
You're done.
Yeah. Cut him off.
You've got attorneys on here advising you, and you keep
He's
going.
gonna stop. I said, "Don't say okay." I'll say.
All right, that's
You're
it.
done.
That's how we end it. That's how we ended. All right, thanks, guys. We're back tomorrow, 9 o'clock. Dave Koken, appreciate it. Thanks, Justin. Thanks, Judge Dan. Adam.